Nick, so good to see you. I came across a
Hey.
really interesting article I want to share with you because the question is how to make sure your inheritance doesn't disappear. So take a look at this. According to this study, 42% of heirs see their net worth fall back to or below pre-inheritance levels within just 1 year. The average inheritance studied in this data was $133,000 gone in 1 year. What do you think is driving that behavior?
Uh, when you sent that over to me, I have to, part of me was like
I know.
the kid from Home Alone. I
Hmm.
was like literally like that, but then I thought about it for a minute and I'm thinking, well, it's literal. That's what I see
Yeah.
day in and day out with everything. It's not fact. It's actually in practice. It is fact. In practice, it is fact. And so the reason I think is an inheritance is often treated like found money
Yeah.
instead of family money. And I think that might be the biggest thing. Sometimes it's like winning the shopping spree. People are filling the card up with what they're going to use that inheritance on. And let's be honest, inheritances usually arrive at the most stressful times in your life.
Right.
Mom has passed away, dad's passed away. People aren't making smart decisions. They're not coming from it from a position of strength. They're making decisions while they're grieving, and they think about maybe a new car, a new kitchen that they want to do, or maybe helping kids, and they're not really making it from a financial decision. It's more of an emotional decision.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because a study did find that this pattern was more extreme than with other financial windfalls, like winning the lottery. So let's drill down into that. Why do you think
Yeah.
inheritances are different?
So people tend to protect what they build and spend what they inherit.
Yeah,
Again, this is, and I know what I'm going to say. People are going to probably write nasty comments or something about that and say, well, that's just a mean thing to say. I'm not. I'm coming from a place of third party person just kind of
right.
sweeping in and looking and trying to observe and figure out what's going on. And that's what I find. People, they build stuff, they protect it. When they inherit it, they tend to spend it. And people work for a paycheck, Aaron. They earn a bonus. Those dollars just feel different. They've got sweat equity in those things. And then what ends up happening is the inheritance happens and it just feels different. The money wasn't necessarily earned, it wasn't sacrificed for, there's no plans for it. And many heirs, they've never managed money to that degree. And so all of a sudden, this huge amount of money comes in. They may have never had savings to that amount. They maybe have never seen that much money in one account, and so now they make decisions differently. And
Hmm.
it's almost like being given a Ferrari when you've only been using a scooter. And what ends up happening is it's not that you don't know how to drive the Ferrari, you just weren't trained on what to do when you had the Ferrari. You've
Right.
been trained on a scooter. It's different when it comes to this. Now all of a
Of
sudden you've got
course.
this big landslide of money. It is going to require a different thought process than what you did when you were saving little bits all the time in that 401k.
Hmm. So Nick, you've been doing this for a while now then. Mistakes do you see families make when it comes to passing down wealth?
So number one, no estate plan. That's the biggest one. And this doesn't just hit people who have $400,000. I just met with a couple that's got $6 million. They have no will, no power of attorney, no healthcare directive. They don't have a trust. And
Yeah.
so you got to look at it as an estate plan is not for you. It's for the people that you leave behind. So I would say that is the number one thing that I see is people having no estate plan. And you just got to look at it as if you don't make the decision, the courts will decide for you.
Right.
Another one that I see is there's no family conversations going on. Parents never talk about money, their wishes, goals, values, what they want done with the inheritance afterwards. So that happens. Another thing that I see is outdated beneficiaries.
Oh,
When they're
yeah.
passing down
Mhm.
wealth. We see this all the time. Ex-spouses are listed as primary beneficiaries, deceased beneficiaries. Maybe there's an outdated trust, there's an outdated will. That would be like if we went back in time to 1998, that would be like having MapQuest directions in a world today in 2026, it's completely changed.
Mhm.
Those instructions back in 1998 on paper, printed on probably a dot matrix printer on from MapQuest, is completely different than what my GPS is telling me on my smartphone. And
Mhm.
so we just got to change those things and update them. I think those are probably the main three. There's probably others, but those would probably be the three that I would think of.
Mhm. So then, are there any other strategies then that can help ensure that inheritance lasts?
So we were talking about this offline, and I loved it so much that I said, "Oh my gosh, that's better than what I think I came up with when we were talking about this off air." Is calm and save. You know, calm down and maybe put the money into a different account. Maybe it's not even an account you can touch, and give yourself time to process it. Give
Time to
yourself time
grieve.
to think
Yeah.
about it and
Mhm.
agree. And before just saying I'm just going to spend it, and I call that delayed gratification. We're so used to, doing things now. Take some time and process it. Another strategy would be building a complete estate plan around that. So going back, when you have this money, think about an estate plan is like building the fence around your house. You need to create these things because now you've got wealth and you want to make sure it passes on. And the thing is, if you don't create an estate plan, like I said, the state already has one. It's called probate. And then another thing too, prepare your heirs before they inherit the money. Teach them, have conversations, talk
Right.
about budgeting, investing, taxes, all those things, and prepare the family for that inheritance. Because when you plan the family for the inheritance, that's better because what most people do is they don't plan the family for the inheritance, they plan the inheritance for the family. And then the family gets it and they're not sure what to do.
Yeah.
Um, a couple other things, maybe one, consider a trust for certain situations. Trust can really help. And again, I'm not a lawyer, so this is just kind of stuff. You got to make sure, do your due diligence, make sure that it's going to be the right thing for you. But trust can really help protect assets, avoid probate, but control those distributions and maybe reduce family conflicts. Look, think about it this way: instead of giving somebody the entire pie, a trust can divvy it out into slices over a predetermined set of time that you determine. And another thing, lastly, is maybe create a family legacy. I think that a lot of time what I see is they don't know what the purpose of the money is. And if a plan doesn't have purpose, that leads to problems. If you have a plan that has purpose, that's what creates the legacy, is by having the purpose for the money and communicating that with the family so they know, hey, we created this legacy, and you know what we want to have done when something happens to us and this passes on to you is use this to pay it forward, put the kids through college,
Right.
help them pay for their first home, stuff like that. I tend to think I have a lot of families that will come in and say, yeah, when they get the money, I know what they're going to do. Well, what are they going to do? They're going to buy like the most expensive Tesla, and they're going to buy a boat, and it's just they're just going to blow through it, and it's just going to make me frustrated. But what do I care? I'm going to be dead. And sometimes you can do some planning early to make sure that that doesn't happen, so that the estate and the legacy that you leave is something that can really make an impact going forward for future generations.
Right. And what I'm hearing you say, Nick, I mean, I know you're a small business owner and you are in the family
Mhm.
business, but also you
Yep.
love inviting many generations into one room, and also having a professional who can help moderate that discussion between two generations can help lower the temperature, make sure everybody's on the same page, which I know you value. So if somebody would like your help with that, again, invite the kids into the room as well. What's the best way to reach you?
And I love what you just said there because it is more than just this generation, the person who has the money. And
Yeah.
usually that's where people think is, oh, well, the kids will worry about it when something happens to me. And in my mind, that's probably the worst time for them to
Right.
get introduced with your financial
Right.
professional is when there's been a loss. And it's almost better for everybody to be on the same page. That way there's synergy and there's succession planning. In businesses, you have succession planning. And in your financial life, you should have succession planning. And that just means taking what you have, passing on your wishes so that your legacy is eternal
Mhm.
in a way. So it's a dynasty that you're creating. And so what people can do is it all starts with a real simple 15-minute telewealth call where we can see what the situation is and how we can help facilitate a life where we're helping you create that dynasty. and making sure that you're not like some of these people who are getting this inheritance and then all of a sudden it's like a
Right.
puff of air. It's gone. Where did it go? Well, I don't know. There was your chance to make a difference, and you didn't use it right because of whatever. So people can give us a call at 844 group 10, and also go to our website, group10financial.com, and set up a 15-minute telewealth strategy call where we can really dive in and figure out what's going on and how we can help serve them.
Great. Nick, thank you so much for this. I enjoyed it.
Great being with you.